Maseches Bava Metzia Daf Tzadi Aleph Amud Aleph in the very bottom of the page. Welcome to our Amud Yomi Shiur. Welcome to everybody here in Avos Shalom. Thank you. Welcome, parents, and welcome to everybody in YouTube channel and Torah Anytime. We are learning the halachos of what? Of a person who is a worker, works in the field, and the Torah says the person who comes to work in someone else's field is allowed to eat the fruit that he's picking while he's eating. Of course, there are limitations, but conceptually, while he's working, while the person is working, he is allowed to munch and snack on the fruit that he's picking, and that is a general halacha we're learning now. However, right now we're learning something a bit different, and that is about farmers or other people who tend to animals, and they want to breed the animals and to mate the animals. So if you have two animals that are not of the same type, the question is what's called not the same type. That's not discussed now. Let's say you're trying to do something interesting and make a shidduch between a bull and a sheep. Let's say, I don't know if that's going to work. Yeah, a Republican, Democrat, something like that. So then, yeah, we say that's a problem in halacha. You're not allowed to do that. What consists of really breeding? Says the Gemara, when you mamish place his in hers, yeah, that is considered to be kilaim. But anything less than that, if you just bring them together to the deer, to the pen where they live, him and her, of different species, different types, and they do what they do by themselves, that's not osur. However, Rav Papa said that is not allowed. Why? He didn't say it's not allowed in general, but there were people that asked him the question, and he said, for you guys, that's not allowed. Why? Because he knew that if he allows them to indirectly bring that, shidduch around, that mating, they would do worse, right? Sometimes you have to know who is the person asking the question, and that's why I didn't allow it. Okay, that's what we saw so far. Another small piece we're going to see now, and then we're going to see a new Mishnah. Mesiv Rav, Omer Rav Yehuda. Yes, Omer Rav Yehuda, 4 lines from the bottom of the page, Tzadi Aleph Amud Aleph. Say, let's go. Omer Rav Yehuda, min b'minoi muter lachnis kemichol b'shfaferes. If you breed, yeah, male and female of the same type, you have the same species, a bull and a cow, that's a sheina shidduch, yeah, and you breed them mamish beyadayim michol b'shfaferes. You put, the male piece into the female piece, mamish, that is allowed. Well, why shouldn't be allowed? Because they're the same type. There's no issue of priestess. There's no issue of being, promiscuous or doing the wrong thing, because although you're looking at it and you're involved with it, it says in Gemara Nevedazor Daf Chof Amud Beis, V'nishmarta mikol dovora, any bad thought or bad looks you should avoid, including looking at animals while they are, together, when they're, doing pruvu. You can't look at the male and female. Here, it's allowed, and there's no such issue. My time, why is that? Bavidose torid, because he's busy with his work. A person who is actually worried, concerned, and involved at work, then in such a situation, his mind doesn't wander the wrong way. He doesn't think of the cow and the bull in a lustful way. He thinks of I gotta get some more money through getting more babies, the calves that's all. He's very involved at work, so he's not thinking, his computer is not an entertainment mode, he's a work mode, yeah, so to speak. Now that's very nice. However, Meisiv Rav Achdevui Bar Ami. Rav Achdevui Bar Ami asks a question from a different brisa, and it says the brisa that we actually saw before, and we're asking the same question again. Ilu nehemar behemtecha lo tarbia. Had the Torah only told me the first part of the sentence, behemtecha lo tarbia, you should not. Oops, sorry, something wrong. Okay. Behemtecha lo tarbia. Sorry, the share screen stops. Okay. If the Torah says behemtecha lo tarbia, you should not make your animal mate. Haisi oimer, I would have said lo yechos odem esabehema kedei she'aleh aleh zocho. If you just read the first part of the postuk, it doesn't say the word kilaim, crossbreed. It says behemtecha lo tarbia. What does it mean? Don't cause your animal to be nirba, to mate. Yeah, I would have thought, maybe there's an Isra like that. Maybe it's lo tzanua. Don't hold your cow kedei she'aleh aleh zocho. When the bull comes on his own accord, he's in the mood anyways, and she's not so much in the mood, don't hold the cow when he is on top of her. That would be what I would have thought, even with the same type, same species. For whichever reason. Talmud Loimar comes the Torah and finishes off the pasuk. Kilaim. No, there's no problem of doing that with regular animals of the same style, same type. Kilaim is the problem. What's kilaim? Mixture. Kilaim hu the osu. Kilaim is not allowed when you have two types, whatever, two different animals, even treif animals. I don't know, a wolf and a face. I don't know, a lion. I don't know, different types. Whatever you can manage them. That is also Amin b'mina is shari. But if it's the same type, the same species, male, female, that's allowed. Wait a second. So what did we just say? What would have I thought if not for the word kilaim? That I'm not allowed to hold one, right? To hold it, right? And hold the female while the zachor, the male, is coming on top of it. So even after we conclude the pasuk, we realize no, that's allowed. To do that to different species is not allowed. But to do that to the same species allowed. What's that? Holding the cow, holding the female. So now the Gemara is medayik, umin b'minoi nami. You see that what we do allow by min b'minoi, but the same species, male, female, achiza in hachnos aloi. Sounds like all I can do is hold it, but not to mamish put and place the aver, the male into the female. So you see, why should that not be allowed? Here, it's really being too involved, in their intimate life, so to speak, of the animals. Maybe that's a problem of the farmer having his mind wandering the wrong way. Says the Gemara, as we said before, no, my achiza hachnoso. When we said holding the cow, we didn't really mean that. We meant hachnoso, penetrating, entering. So why is the Brisa calling it holding instead of saying penetrating, putting in? Says the Gemara, lishna me'alya. Because even the Mishnais and the Brisas, not even when it comes to halacha, when we say don't mince your words, the Mishnah and Brisa do mince the words, and they say no, we don't want to be too specific, but really what we meant was to have the organ inside. That's what we meant, and that is really allowed by min b'minoi, which it didn't say it, we didn't speak it out, but the action that is forbidden by different species of kilaim and is permitted in the same species, same type, is mamish creating the tashmish, creating mamish the relations. That is, again, what's the chiddush? Let's summarize. To just put them together in the deer, or even see how the zocher is coming on top of her, even helping a little bit, may not be osur, not also doraisa, right? Only a chumrah. The only thing that's also by different species crossbreed is when you mamish place, when you really make them do the act. That's one. What happens by the same species? There's no problem to do that, even problem of tznius, right? You're not allowed to watch it if you're not the farmer. Maybe a veteran or learning or somebody who's involved, but to watch it for fun, that's not allowed. But if you are the person who's concerned and you're Torah and it's a job you have to do, you just view it as a job you have to do. So if it's a cow and thing or a sheep and you, same style, then you're allowed to mamish bring them together. Omar Ravashi. Now Ravashi comes and tells us, and that's the end of this sugya. O Milsa, this question, Bo Minoi the Be'er of Nechemi Resh Galusa. Ravashi telling us, they asked me this question, he says about himself, from Be'er of Nechemia Resh Galusa. The Resh Galusa, asked the question, regarding Resh Galusa was a rich man, he was an exilarch, he was a Jewish leader in Bavel. He had animals, he had slaves, So now they had a question coming from the household of Resh Galusa. The question was, "Man lehachnis min v'minoi v'she'enoi minoi ladir." Can you bring into the deer, into the animal's pen, three singles, three singles in the apartment? Are you allowed to bring in one female, one male of her type, and one male that's not her type? Okay. Let's say that's a female, a sheep, and are you allowed to bring the ram, which is her style, and another one, I don't know, another type, a goat, maybe skilaim, or I don't know, cow. Is that allowed? Kevan the ikamine, shall we assume because the same type, the same species is what is there too? We'd assume that male and female who are the same style, they'll be attracted to each other, they naturally mate together, right? And Nistame, she is not going to go to the strange one. Why should she go to a strange animal when she has somebody like her, right? And therefore, right, we assume that that's okay. or maybe afilo hochiloi, or maybe not. Maybe you have to be choishesh. Maybe you have to be concerned. Maybe, lamaisa, there's that female, two options. Maybe she'll go for the one that's the wrong kind of guy. Fall in love with the wrong kind of guy, as they say. So maybe I'm putting that at risk, right? So now, by the way, this is only based upon what? The extra chumrah of Rav Papa, right? It's time to put even the wrong types in the deal, in the pen is allowed. It's only a chumrah, right? In case when people are not Yerushalayim, then you always make them stay more far away from Averis. But what about, when two types are okay and there's a third partner who's not okay, Shell would be concerned she'll go for the wrong one or not. And I forbade it to them. I told them it's also not like halacha. What do you mean not like halacha? Not that he's wrong. Not like halacha, meaning that more machmir. I was more machmir with them. Why? Mishum pritzusa de avdi. Because Reish Galus has many slaves. Those slaves are not necessarily Yerushalayim. Maybe they're Jewish, but they're not Yerushalayim. And because these avodim will actually do the action. In other words, if you have wrong the option of having in one pen, two of the same style, and the third one from the wrong style, the Reish Galusa, he's not just there running the show with a bunch of Talmidei Chachamim. There are all types of types over there in the farm, including avodim not Yerushalayim. They may dafka, for whichever reason, they may dafka their poruts, and they would dafka put beyadayim, the male and the female of the wrong type together. Because of that, we're concerned. Halacha l'maisa is on Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch says in a place where people are regular / Yerushalayim, it's okay to just put in the deer, in the animal pen, in the animal area, in the enclosure. You're allowed to put two of the wrong type, of different types, and we're not concerned unless you're dealing with people who are less Yerushalayim. Then you tell them don't do that. And it says interesting that even if the wrong kind of male, came to the wrong kind of female, you don't have to stop them. They already started. They're already in a relationship. They put in the thing in relationship. So then you don't have to stop it. Moreover, but the eved, if there's a kosher animal that was born out of that, let's say a bull and a sheep, I don't know if they can have a baby together, but theoretically, then the animal is kosher. But the eved, it's not recommended, but just like by fruit. By fruit also, many fruit nowadays are actually a result of crossbreeding, or whatever you call it, cross planting. But it's okay. So same thing with animals. Grafting, yes, grafting is the way to do it. Our cover. Right. Okay. Thank you. And this is the end of it. And now we're coming to the next Mishnah. Time for questions. Yay! Let's have a break. Just to remember that this year's Leilu Nishma Sovi Moiri Menachem Ben Akiva, Ruth Bas Shalom Sobas Moshe, and for the refuah of Gavriel Tzvi Ben Keren, Aviva Bas Dvora, Nina Chaya Bas Gula Rochel, David Ben Mazal, David Ben Golda, and Ama Bas Rochel Rama, Leah Bas Etel Chaya, Besoich Choyli Soil. Says the Heilige Mishnah. Now we're talking more about the worker. Now everybody has to understand here that the Torah is Torah's emes, obviously. Hashem takes care of everybody. And it's very nice of us, urban people who don't, most of us, as far as don't own fields, to say, the worker can just eat as much as he wants. But that's kind of crazy because, if the worker is going to eat everything he picks, then nothing will be left for Baal Habayis, right? So that's obviously wrong. So we're going to see now, we already saw some limitations of, right, that the poil cannot eat everything. For example, he can't take the grapes that he eats and salt them, right? Or add other food, right? V'chule, v'chule. So there are limitations to the way and fashion, v'chule, of the eating habits, the eating permission that the poil has. So let's say the next Mishnah. Who's allowed to eat? What kind of poil is allowed to eat? Let's say that poil, his work only involves his hands, not his feet. He has to, let's say, sit in one place and just pick them, sitting, let's say, whatever, for one big tree. Let's say only his hands are involved in the work. Let's say that worker actually is somebody who, let's say, presses wine. Only his legs are working, his feet and legs are not his hands. His hands are tied, let's say, like that. Only his feet are working, his feet. Let's say his feet and hands are not in motion. only his shoulders. Maybe he has to stand there like a statue, and people load his back with stuff, with bags. Arei ze oichel. The Nakama says whichever body part of you is involved at the work. I don't mean eyes, maybe an inspector, but somebody who's physically involved at the work in the vineyard or the field or the wherever, the wine press. It doesn't matter how you're physically involved, you're entitled to eat from that process, from that stage of the process we're involved in. You're picking, you can pick. You press the wine, you can take some wine. However, Rabbi Yosef Bar Yehuda argues and says, no, Ad Shas Rabbi Yosef Bar Yehuda, and soon we're going to see why. He says, no, only if your both feet and legs are involved in the work. Yeah, let's say you're picking and walking. Yeah, let's say you do two things with the hands and the feet. Only that level of work, full work, both hands and feet, grants you the right to be an eater at the field. That's what Rabbi Yosef Bar Yehuda says, and both opinions will be explained. First opinion, Zok de Gemore, my time. Why is that? Why does Tanakama tell me? How does Tanakama know that any involvement or any body part with the work grants the worker the right to eat? Says the Gemara, Ki tove bekerem re'echo, b'chol ma'ed Ovid. Just read the pasuk. What does the Torah says? You come to your friend's field, eat whatever you want. Yeah, it doesn't even say you work there. We learned that he works there. How? From kol kalyecha, you put it in the kli. But the Torah says you come to the field to work. Work can be very creative. He works with his ears. I don't know. Works all kinds of work. Yeah, that's what they learn. If so, Rabbi Yosef Bar Yehuda Omer, Achas Rabbi Yehuda v'Beraglo. Rabbi Yosef Bar Yehuda is one who comes and limits that and says, no, only if you work with both hands and feet, only then you're granted the right to eat. My time, Rabbi Yosef Bar Yehuda. Why? Why is Rabbi Yosef Bar Yehuda so limiting and tells me that only if both hands and feet are involved, only then I'm allowed to eat as a worker? Answers Rabbi Yosef Bar Yehuda, Kisho, just like the bull. If you remember, if you dap him ago, right in Amud Aleph, what did we say? We said the Dosh of Ravina. It says Lo tachsom shor b'dishoy. The Torah compares the choisem and the nechsam. Whatever a shor, a bull, is allowed to eat, all the standards that we learn from shor, we learn for a human being working in the field, and from a human being, we're learning to Lo tachsom shor b'dishoy. The standards are equal. They're very, very much the same. Yeah. Whatever shore is allowed to eat and how in the stages, right? Whatever human being can eat, so is the bull, and vice versa. And therefore, and now he takes that one step further, excuse the pun. Mashor ad shiase biyodov uberaglov, just like a bull, naturally. Now, halacha always refers to the front feet, to the four legs, to the front legs of the animal as hands. Always. For kochim, for bavakama, everything. And therefore, just like the show steps on all four, hopefully, and he works with both hands and feet, and he threshes the field. By the way, thank you, Ellen, that we saw this video about people in Tajikistan, and they nowadays still thresh it like in the olden days. They don't have a board; they just have the cows themselves. The cows with their hooves, they actually thresh the barley, whatever they thresh the grains. Yeah. So just like the bull, Bayodov Beraglov, uses both his hands and feet, and then he is allowed to eat whatever he wants, the bull. Afpoel, so to the worker, we learn from the Behema, Odom Behema to Shia Hashem. We learn from the Behema to the Odom too, a person too, only if he uses both his feet and his legs, his feet and his hands to work, then he's granted the right to eat. Okay, so far so good. However, now comes a question. I don't know if you know, but some animals don't have hands. No, they're not handicapped. They just were born that way. Such as birds. Did you notice the birds actually don't have hands? Right? Only the cartoons. Yeah, their wings are like hands. They really don't have hands. So now comes a question. Boy Rabba, very lomdisha question. Boy Rabba Baravuna. Rabba Baravuna has a question. Dash be'avozin v'tarnagoylim. Let's say you thresh your grains with geese and tarnagoylim with roosters. Yeah. In other words, you use birds. Those birds can step very hard. Avozim, geese are quite, strong animals, yeah? Rather use them for guarding in old Rome. Yeah, avozim, the geese, and the big tarnagolim, the roosters, they step all over your daish and they want to eat. Will I let them eat or not? Mahu, what's the halacha? The question is, what did Rabbi Yosef Bar Yehuda say? Why? Because what did he say about a bull and a human being? Only if you use your hands and your feet. Well, they don't have hands. Those birds, they just don't. So what's the halacha? Do we say b'chol koicho ba'inad va'ika? Lomdish. He didn't really mean hands and feet. Rabbi Yehuda meant you have to use all your faculties, all your power, all your might. Sure, yeah, a horse, a four-legged animal, yeah, has to use all four. He's using all his power, yeah, all his weight on the grains. And those birds, they also use all their weight. They're stepping as hard as they can. They just don't have hands. They're not supposed to. They also use the maximum of their limbs, yeah. Or maybe or maybe no. The meant dryly, squarely what he said. He said only an animal that uses its hands and feet gets to eat. Well, if they don't have hands, sorry, they're out of the club. Yeah, those geese and roosters don't have hands. They don't use their wings, they're flapping it, right? So they're only using 2 instead of 4. So they're not granted the right. Teku, remaining the question. Don't remember what's the halacha. I think they get to it. Next time you thresh with your geese or your roosters, you have to check the Shulchan Aruch. Yeah? But it would happen probably tomorrow. Yeah? But Lamaise, I don't know the halacha, it remains in a teku. Amar Nachman, Amar Rabba Baravua. We're reaching a Mishnah soon, and then you can ask your questions. Amar Nachman, Amar Rabba Baravua. In order to understand that small piece of Gemara, we have to see the next Mishnah, not to see it now, to know the next Mishnah. The next Mishnah tells me that if a worker is picking olives, let's say, and right next to him there's a nice cherry tree, he can't take from the cherries. You're only allowed to take and eat from the species that you are working with, okay? Now, let's assume that wine and grapes obviously are very, very, very connected, but they're not the same thing. That's liquid, that's solid, right? So now, yeah, if I'm involved with wine, I cannot eat grapes. If I'm involved with grapes, I can't drink some wine. Omar Rabba, Omar of Nachman, Omar Rabba Baravua. Alim. These workers are workers that actually are stepping and pressing the grapes in the wine press in order to create wine. Ad shelo hilchu shtiva erev bagas. Before they took before they started stepping shtiva erev, backwards and forwards, crisscross, like a cross, shtiva erev, yeah, like weft and warp. Before they walked one time over the grapes, one direction and then another direction, before that happened, oichlin anovim ve'en shoisin yain. They only eat grapes. They're not allowed to drink from the wine, which means imagine yourself the process of grapes becoming wine. That's a huge mess, big mixture. There are some grapes that are still grapes as I'm stepping on them, and there are new ones coming all the time too, right? And I'm stepping on the grapes, and there's also wine. It's not really wine, it's grape juice, will become wine. So if the first stage, before we reach the stage of at least one walk this way and one walk that way, then although we have some wine already, it's still considered as grapes. We still view it as grapes because you don't have enough wine to call that wine. And therefore, you're only allowed to eat from the grapes, don't drink from the wine yet. Because at this stage, we only view it as grapes that are a little bit becoming wine. However, once on the wine press, the people already have been through one walk this way and one walk the other way, even though there are also grapes, but there's enough wine. After one press this way and one press the other way, now we can say I have some significant wine and I also have grapes, right? Not everything was yet pressed. Then I can say I have more of less of an equilibrium between the wine and the grapes, and the people may do both. They can take some of the grapes because they're dealing with grapes and take a sip of the wine because they're also dealing